Well, I believe that there's something, what people, I guess, normally call Bigfoot. I believe that there's something out there, something very real.
Well, here we are again. And this is a big day for us. This is the first episode of the Sasquatch Chronicles. So excited to be here. I hope we're ready for this. Are you ready? That's a great answer. What we're going to start off today in the first episode of the series of the Sasquatch Chronicles is we're going to discuss the Patterson film. And probably the most iconic Bigfoot film, probably the first film ever that Sasquatch was in, Bigfoot. Going to talk a little bit about it. I got my cheat sheet here. Going to compare some notes here from Expedia, and then also he's got a book that's got some stuff on Patterson, and we're just going to debate a little bit whether it's real or, what we believe that it's real or not. And just a little background here, Patterson, who, he's not with us anymore. He passed away in 1972 of cancer. Him and Bob Giblin, basically they went out. It was filmed on out there it was called Orleans, California, off of Bluff Creek. And I'm sure everybody's seen the footage. It's kind of hard to watch, but especially now with the technology, it's broken down, it's frozen, and it's captured, and so it's pretty daunting. I remember when I first saw it, it really rocked me. And I mean, I'm not a poster boy for either side of this. But to me, especially how old the film is and what it looks like.
67?
67. Yeah, October of 67, It's just, to me, it's hard to believe that it's fake. And I just found this out about a few weeks ago when I started to research this, when we wanted to do this video. I didn't know that this creature, quote unquote, is a female. I didn't know that. I just thought it was Bigfoot. And do you really think that Patterson and went out there and said, we got to put, let's just say, you got to put breast on this thing?
Right. Yeah, no one was thinking that back then.
So I want to give people the benefit of the doubt. If you tell me you've had an encounter, I'm going to believe you. I can't say I don't believe you. I've never had an encounter. I've never heard anything. I've read the books. I've heard people say, if you're out there in the wilderness, there's tree knocks. You hear whooping sounds. There's like tree structures, kind of saying, hey, this is our area, stay away. Right. I've never seen or heard any of that. So that's why I can't be 100% believer. But this film is, to me, it's just hard to say it's fake.
Yeah, it's the only one that has stood the test of time, even though it's got its skeptics. It's got people who will refute what's out there. But it's the only film that is just, over 50 years later is still there in the skeptics' faces and, taunting them to some degree.
Yeah.
I'd like to read a little bit out of a book. Nick Redfern wrote it, the Bigfoot book. I mean, I'm sure there's better resource materials out there. This is what I've got on hand right now. But this, again, it's in regards to, the Gimlin Patterson film. And
while you're looking for that, just a couple things, I'm not sitting here saying that I believe the film's 100% real. Let's be honest, Patterson's history, his reputation is not that. It's a little sketchy.
Yeah.
He was known for selling the next big thing, and kind of comparing this, it's a bad comparison. If you ever seen The Founder with Michael Keaton, and that character was always trying to push, get money, and sell this next big product, whether it was a shaker or whatever. That was Patterson back in the 50s, all the way up to, to the mid 60s, especially. And then he read a book out of True Crimes about Bigfoot, talked to people up in Northern California where he filmed this stuff, and all of a sudden was a complete believer. And the time, this was not the first time that he went out there with a camera. He went out there a few other times and either ran out of money or just didn't find anything.
He wasn't some guy who didn't know anything about Bigfoot before, who just took a camera with him, just happened to see. No, that he knew about Bigfoot. He was a Bigfoot enthusiast.
Oh, yeah.
Before this.
Oh, he bought into it hook, line, and sinker. And I know that saying that I think it's a skeptic, but he bought into it. And I mean, they say he spent every penny that he earned searching for this creature, even after he may have found it on camera.
Right.
But it was, he tried to sell something to Walt Disney. He was always in Hollywood trying to sell this, sell that. He would, I'll film this for you if you give me a few bucks.
Right.
It is a little sketchy, and I think you'll have some of that in your book if you're ready to, read some of it.
It says footage lasts for less than a minute, significantly shaky in parts. We've seen that. Anyone who's seen the film sees that. It said it's because Patterson was forced to follow the beast on foot, and he was, because they were on horseback before that. Nevertheless, clearly shows what most people would assume to be Bigfoot. That much is obvious since Patterson was able to get fairly close to the animal as he filmed it.
Yeah.
At one point, the creature glances back, and we can see that is evidently female.
Yeah.
Since its breast can clearly be seen. It also appears to be of a significant height.
Yeah.
Footage comes to an end when the Bigfoot vanishes into the surrounding woods. In total, the whole encounter lasted less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Patterson filmed while Gimlin, armed with a rifle, kept a careful watch on the situation. At first on horseback, then on foot. The men did not give up that easily. It doesn't just stop there and they just say, "Oh, okay, well, we saw,
we saw it. Let's go home."
Yeah. Reportedly, Patterson and Gimlin tried to pursue the creature, eventually tracking it for around 3 miles.
Yeah.
Never again seen it. Of course, they did have the film as evidence, their astonishing encounter, but is it the real deal? And that's the question.
Yeah. And that's pretty close to what they say here. It says that Patterson initially estimated the height of the beast at 6'6". Then he later said it was 7 foot. Then it was 7'6". So I think even he didn't know. And it shows that Patterson, they claim it was female, hair covering most of the body. It disappeared in the woods. This says that Gimli, shortly after the film ran out, that Gimli actually followed it for a little while on horseback.
Yeah.
He followed it for half a mile maybe, and then it went around a bank and just disappeared. And Patterson called him back saying that if that was a female, the male might be around, and I feel a little vulnerable.
Right.
So they got back together, they regrouped, and then it says on here too that they hiked for over 3 miles, followed the footprints. There's another video out there, and I haven't seen it, but evidently they filmed actual footprints of it. I've never seen that either. It's just, it says it on here. It could be wrong, but they and then all of a sudden the trail just goes cold. It just disappeared. Yeah. So.
Well, and here's the thing. You talk about the skepticism of the video and whatnot, and this book does get into that. There's obviously there's people out there who question the validity of it, and there's reason for that. Says that a number of people have come forward on the record to claim either knowledge that Patterson film was faked or actual participation in its making. First, there is a location, Bluff Creek, which is where the infamous Bigfoot hoaxer named Ray Wallace operated from. That Wallace and Patterson met is not in doubt. They knew each other. In October of 97, the late Mark Chorvinsky of Strange Magazine wrote, quote, Ray Wallace has claimed that he knows who was in the Patterson suit. He will not give a name, but says the person in the suit was a Yakima Indian. More damning, Chorvinsky added, Wallace also says that he told Roger Patterson where to film Bigfoot. Roger Patterson came over dozens of times pumping me on this Bigfoot. Ray Wallace explained to researcher Dennis Pelichis in 1982. I felt sorry for Roger Patterson. He told me that he had cancer of the lymph glands, which is what he passed away from in 72, and he was just desperately broke, and he wanted to try to get something where he could have a little income. Well, he went down there just exactly where I told him. I told him, you go down there and hang around on that bank. Stay up there and watch that spot. I told him where the trail was that went down to where the big rock was. I told him where he could get those pictures down there in Bluff Creek. Of course, the fact that Wallace, who died in 2002, was a self-admitted hoaxer means that anything he said on the subject of Bigfoot has to be treated with significant degrees of caution. Certainly the most controversial extensive claim came from Bob Harmonius, whose story is in Greg Long's 2004 book, The Making of Bigfoot. According to Hieronymus, he was the man in the suit, a secret that he kept to himself for years, fearful of the possibility of legal ramifications, including the potential threat of fraud charges. Said certainly at 6'2", that gentleman is a tall man, but is he big enough to have pulled off the hoax and portrayed a creature that most pro-Patterson observers maintain is closer to 7 feet in height? Now again, that's based on what Patterson alleged, but he wavered on that back and forth.
Yeah, it was. I think the more years passed, the higher it got.
Yeah.
I guess let's just take a few minutes here and just what is your ultimate opinion? I mean, I watched it this morning again just to kind of rebrush up on it.
I've seen
not once. Please don't tell me once.
No. I've seen analysis. What I guess you would call expert analysis on it, depending on I couldn't cite the names, the credentials of people, what universities, what doctoral degrees they have, but I've seen the expert analysis of the film itself. We were just talking about the gait, the haunch that the creature had. They analyze the way the arms moved back and forth, essentially coming to the conclusion the sum of it is no human being can move like that.
Yeah, and I wish I could give the right guy that did it it's on YouTube. It's a channel, and he dissected it and he slowed it down frame by frame. A lot of stuff that I never looked at. He was talking about how the creature, when it's walking and his hand comes up, the hand closes.
Right.
When it goes down, it opens back up.
Right.
You're not going to think about that when you're a human. I mean, if this is a hoax, and even if it's a great hoax, who's going to think about, man, when I'm walking, I'm going to close my fist when I'm ready, and then I'll open it back up. And it is closed again when his arm gets back here.
Yeah.
So...
And especially back, and this is nothing to knock people of, the older generations, and the time period was 1967. Now, we live in the age of information, and everyone's going to want to do it. When you fabricate something, you're going to want to do it to the utmost detail. You're going to want to have all your P's and Q's, all the T's crossed, the I's dotted. Back then, you're not thinking of that.
No.
You're not thinking, I'm going to put on a suit, probably, and let's, give it a hoax and get some money or something.
I remember a documentary back in like the late 90s, maybe it was earlier or later than that, but they basically said that Patterson basically went out there with his camera and caught Bigfoot. How coincidence was that? And yeah, if you go down to it, but like we said earlier, it wasn't like, okay, I read the true crime story, I'm going to go out there and get Bigfoot, and he got Bigfoot and he came back. No, he went out there several times and he spent a lot of his money.
Right.
The story you just said, it is very plausible. Like I said, he did die of cancer. Yeah. He was broke because he spent every penny he had. He started I don't want to say it's a foundation, but he started like a business, basically raising money so he could go on safaris or go out there with a camera and see if he could capture, maybe even really capture him and bring him back, which that would have been strange.
I think one of the things we're going to try to dive into maybe next episode, we get some more information, is Bob Gimlin, his partner. Some would say his partner in crime, but I don't think the man, if there was in fact a hoax, if it was, I don't think Gimlin had anything to do with it.
I read a little bit on Gimlin. I mean, how him and Patterson knew each other. They were both amateur boxers. They both did a little rodeoing together. And he said he did not believe in Bigfoot at all. Mm-hmm. And he said Patterson kept pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. Finally, he said, okay, I'll go out there with you. Let's see what we can find. And he has said it several times. And as a matter of fact, he went into hiding afterwards because he did not want to be bothered with it. But he has since come out, and I know people can say, oh, well, that's convenient. But he has since come out, gone to conventions and stuff. And all he says is that I know what I saw. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it, but I know what I saw. And that's why I'm the other side of it. I've never seen one, so I can't 100% say I believe it. But, going back to what we were saying, some of the things that this creature, quote unquote, was doing on film, it's just hard to fake. And again, the guy was telling how the strides, although they were fast, very powerful when they were hitting the ground. You could see they were like, his legs were, or her legs were like shock absorbers.
Right.
And I'm not a perfect estimator. I'm not a handyman at all. I thought the creature looked about 8 feet tall. That's just me. But I don't have any science behind that, and don't take my word on that. But it looked a little bit taller than 6-7 feet tall. And the other thing that he said was that, and I thought he was going to debunk it. Basically, he said it was a fraud. He said he was saying there was a line on the side of its leg, and he couldn't make out the line. And at first he's like, oh my God, is that the crack in the armor? Is that the suit? Well, then as he was looking, he's like, oh my God, I know exactly what that is. So when the creature would open its hand up, it would brush its leg.
Right.
So basically that was where his hair was, or her hair was worn down to the point where there's a line there.
Who
the hell thinks of that? I mean, if you're telling me that Patterson and Gimli thought about this all the way through, they got to be the most powerful. They got to be smarter than, and I feel like an idiot now. Got to be smarter than the smartest man in the world. Einstein. That's it. Oh, boy, I had a brain fart there on camera. Great.
Well, even to his dying day, from what I understand, and Gimlin, he supported this, that Patterson, the guy never made a deathbed confession saying that
it was a hoax.
It was a hoax,
I just did it for money.
Now, granted, some people could say that, the reason why he didn't do that, if he, children, grandchildren would have to live with that stigma, but still, I mean, why not at that point?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why go to your deathbed with that?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you're asking me at this point, I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. It was real. To me, it's hard to see a fake. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where they say I spotted Bigfoot, and to me, you can tell those are fake. You can tell it's a gorilla suit, or it's so far off, whatever. And I know I mentioned it when we kind of scratched the surface when we said we're going to do a series. Guy does a channel. He's got a channel called Nuke's Top 5. It's mostly paranormal top 5s. But he does do some strange creature top 5s, and those really attract me. But like I said, there was a group of people at some cabin way across the field. There was a fence, and in a fence, he was up on top of that field. There was a tree line, and he was walking in front of the tree line, and it looked to me like it was a Bigfoot. And they yelled at it, and it charged them. And again, I'm looking at this to see if it's a suit. That to me, fake hair, you're going to spot that.
Yeah.
Real hair, you can tell it's just different. So, in my honest opinion, I have to give Patterson and Gimli the benefit of the doubt.
And too, you're looking at where prosthetics, where makeup, where costumes have come from. It's 1967.
Yeah.
Imagine, okay, the creatures, the alien from the original Star Trek series. In 1967, which is when Star Trek was running. So that's the kind of expertise in creature, and nothing against those guys who pioneered all that back then, because that led way to where we're at now.
Yeah.
But that's what they were dealing with. So could you really come up with a suit that would fake, to this day, over 50 years later, close to 60?
And I'll do you one better. Something kind of close to the Bigfoot family, if you want to say that. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Look at those apes.
Yeah.
I mean, believe me, that movie is, to me, it's iconic. It's a good story. And the apes for the 60s look really good.
Right.
But you can tell it's fake.
Yeah.
So
that's what you're dealing with.
That's exactly what you're dealing with. You're telling me that Patterson and Gimli had enough funds to have somebody construct a suit to look like that. And maybe we'll do one of the episodes over Survivor Man series of Bigfoot. He ran into a guy. I think it was either Northern California, the same area, or it was the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, which that's a hot spot too.
Right.
He had a couple of films, and you can't find these online. He doesn't want them out because he doesn't want people to think that they're hoaxes. But he shows clips of them in the Survivor Man series, and they kind of resemble what Patterson and Gimli have come out with. So, I mean, it's the same thing, and I know this is a different topic, and I know you would love to do something on this, whether the moon landing was real or not. If they faked it, they better darn sure got it right, because if you go up there and it doesn't look right, we're in a lot of trouble. It's the same thing with this. If you film this and you don't, rest in peace, on your deathbed, lay out all your demons and say it was a fake. He claimed it was real all the way till his death.
Right.
If 20, say 5 years from now, say tomorrow, somebody captures Bigfoot and it doesn't look anything like it.
That's the thing, and that's probably the other thing we need to touch on is that, the people who have seen, since then, the hundreds, thousands of sightings since then, see, that's the thing, what they captured on the Patterson-Gimlin film has to add up 40, 50 years later. The images of what you see, the creatures that you see, aren't going to change that much. I mean, now, granted, depending on what you read and who you talk to, there's evidence that the farther north you go in North America, up into Canada, the greater in stature these creatures are.
And I think a little more.
And then that's the other thing. Regionally speaking, the East Coast, they're more aggressive than the West Coast for whatever reason. But it's not going to vary, I wouldn't think, that much. You might have variations in maybe some physical characteristics and stuff like that. But it's not like you're going to go from the Patterson creature on the film to
a guy who's half naked out there with just a little chest hair.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There's going to be some continuity.
Weren't you doing that last week? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, we weren't supposed to say that on camera. No. So I think we're both in agreement that this thing is probably legit.
Right.
The timing, 1967. To be able to come up with a suit like that, and again, I know the filming is it's very bad. It's all over the place. But again, we have the technology now, and there's several hundred on YouTube right now that they slow it down, they enhance it, it's clear.
Frame by frame.
Frame by frame. It's, and I'm telling you, man, when that thing turns and looks, it's damn near creepy to me.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, brush on that real quick. They say that no gorilla, ape, or if it was a real Bigfoot, would not look at the camera. Well, that's been debunked so much, because you watch a gorilla. If a gorilla at the zoo sees you filming and it's going off, it's going to turn and look half the time. It just is. It's just a curious person. And you're talking about a creature that probably is more sophisticated than we are. Yeah. But you're talking about the 60s, where cameras were just now coming, portable cameras anyway, that you could carry out.
Yeah. It's
going to look back and say, what the heck is that person doing? Probably more worried that they're going to shoot her.
Yes.
That's probably why this creature, a female creature, looked back and said, are they going to shoot me? It says, no, they're pointing that big box at me. I'm just going to keep walking like I am.
Yeah.
And
maybe they should be thankful that they were on the West Coast rather than the East Coast, because from what I understand, and of course that's a different episode, I guess, but there have been, though rare, aggressive incidences.
Well, yeah,
where people have been attacked.
We watched. He had me watch the series. I think it's on Amazon Prime. If you want to check it out, I couldn't tell you the name, but I forgot what year it was. But these loggers, they claimed that they killed a creature that was Bigfoot, and they're in their cabin. And next thing you know, about what was it, like 15, 20 of these suckers come running out of the forest and throwing boulders at you.
Yeah,
can you imagine?
Canyon incident. Yeah.
Yeah. And that we can dive into that another time, but so yeah, it's a good thing, and it's a good thing, like you said, maybe the male was around or wasn't around. We're all the same. We see our female companion look like they might be in distress. We're going to protect them. So yeah, they were lucky that there wasn't an encounter. Right. But yeah, if you're asking me right now, I would say that film has some legitimacy to it. again, we have to find out what is going on. That is my whole thing. All these people seeing something, claiming sites, and having these videos and all these encounters. How do you just chalk it up to saying, well, you know, either hallucinating, you didn't see right, blah, blah, blah. There's some truth. There is a truth in there. You know, there's a great line in the JFK film, Oliver Stone. There's a lot of smoke there, but there is fire.
Yes.
And you have to find where the fire is coming from. We just have to. So, yeah. So, you know, we're both in agreement on that. Well, we could talk again, I guess, for hours about this, but I think that's a good enough, you know, start.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, so leave us a comment. Let us know. Let us know if there's something you want us to talk about. If you had an encounter, share it with us. We'll share it with you on there. And you know, tell them your story. Like I said, you know, he's got more books than this that we can read from. You know, you can go on Wikipedia. I mean, you can type in the Google search. Just type in the Patterson.
There's all kinds of resources. I mean, after this video's over, I'm going to put on my suit and do a video. And
we're going to, you know, post some hoaxes, you know. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, we've got ideas. We've even talked about, you know, going to some sighting spots and seeing if, you know, seeing what they saw. And like I said,
I can take them.
If I doubt it, but because if I hear a knock or whooping, I'm out of there. I'm sorry. And if we do this live and our, what are we at, 20 subscribers now? Our 20 subscribers say, go to the whooping. Screw that, man. I'm out.
Man, I'm taking out my
your little
my
toy knife. Oh yeah,
my Rambo plastic machete.
Dude, he'll look at you and laugh, or she, whatever. But yeah, just give us some insight on this. This is the first one. We plan on doing several of these, and let's have fun with this. You know, give us some more comments, give us some more opinions. If you had an encounter, let us know, and I will gladly share it on here. You know, or we will share it. You know,
we're in search of the truth, whatever that truth is, wherever that leads us.
And this is fun. Like I said, we started this channel to have fun. Wanted to talk about things. This is, like I said, this is the heaviest we're going to get. We have other conspiracy theories we're thinking about starting a series on, but we wanted to start with the Bigfoot. This is the first one. We'll have many more to come.
Hollow Earth theory.
Well, no, maybe. Well. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Let us know your comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and search for the truth.
Bye.